Sorry, folks, this isn't working. The money's spent, the damage is done. This virus could be with us for years or forever. Lockdowns clearly don't work. The World Health Organization itself has said don't do them. They are at best a blunt tool. Testing, 12 billion spent, not working. Germany has a world-class testing system, and their numbers are now through the roof, and Angela Merkel is about to announce a national lockdown for Germany. The countries with the strictest measures in the world are seeing an explosion in cases. It's almost like you can't control a virus. Who knew? Spain, Belgium, France, they're in dire straits. It's becoming clear that we've spent hundreds of billions of pounds on a wretched, damaging and fruitless battle against the virus. It isn't working. What was the point of that first lockdown if we're now back to square one? In fact, we may well, with our obsessive micromanagement of this virus, have squandered a chance to absorb more cases, which were coming anyway, in the mild summer months when there are less demands on the NHS. Well, that ship has passed, and we are where we are. Sweden, of course, took a different path, one from which they have not erred for a second. They've been very brave. Schools stayed open, businesses, hospitality unaffected, no mandates on face coverings. Just wash your hands and keep a sensible distance and trust the people. They've seen a dip in their economy of 8% versus over 20% here. They are now back to normal and are currently facing average daily deaths in Sweden who did not lock down. Average daily deaths of, wait for it, 2 people per day. Our strategy is not working. We are patently in the grip of a failed scientific experiment. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if there were no consequences, but there are. Spiralling unemployment and a tsunami of tragic deaths and illnesses from untreated and undiagnosed other diseases, mental illness, suicide, domestic abuse, kids' education wrecked, and billions borrowed from future generations, which will bake poverty and deprivation into the system for decades. The medicine is now killing the patient. And so the proposed solution we're hearing today, more medicine. The whole of England, potentially in tier 3, which I believe it's basically OMG level. It's the highest level you can have. That's effectively a national lockdown by December, and Britain in an economic death spiral until who knows when? April, May, June of next year, perhaps beyond. And you know what that means, don't you? A national lockdown in mid-December. It means Santa's on furlough, Rudolph's jobless, and Christmas is cancelled. Well, not on my watch. Here's the thing. Eventually, the economic tank will run dry. The cupboard will be bare. And the decision will be made for us to live with this virus. But at that point, from a position of great weakness. But it's not too late to think again. We have an opportunity to change course now. It's not too late to focus on the protection of the most vulnerable and to get everyone else back to work and back to a relatively normal life. If the plan is to pursue the current strategy, which it looks like it is, then our leaders have a democratic duty to tell us the truth and to open our eyes to the true consequences of that strategy, the price that we will have to pay. There can be no more fear-mongering, no more spin, no more guilt-tripping of those who seek another way, no characterising the Barrington Declaration scientists as conspiracy nut jobs, and to put paid to the disgusting idea that those who want to see a focus on the preservation of life that goes beyond COVID-19 as the let rip brigade. No one wants to let rip. What a slur that is. But to care about COVID above all else, which is the current strategy, is, I'm afraid to say, to not care about cancer, about lost jobs, about the young of this country who face no mortal threat from COVID-19, but who will pick up the bill when all of this is over. I want to see, established by an Act of Parliament, the daily death toll from COVID measures. We could call it sage deaths, because it's sage that are driving this strategy. They should get the credit. I want daily jobless figures. I want an unemployment index that I can watch live. Because if you see a spike in unemployment of 2, 3 or 4 million, that's millions who cannot work, cannot pay their taxes and contribute to the country. And it's 2 or 3 or 4 million damaged lives. At the moment, the government and the scientists who advise them say there is no choice. Well, I beg to differ. A choice is being made. And it's a tunnel vision focus on COVID cases, almost of which will see people fully recover if they have symptoms at all. All at the expense of anyone with diseases like cancer, diabetes, dementia, and also heart problems. And a choice is being made to destroy the economy and therefore lives and livelihoods. We've been taken on a damaging rollercoaster ride, and we have every right, through an honest debate played out here on Talk Radio, through following the rule of law, and by peaceful democratic means, we have the right to say, actually, I want to get off. It's enough now. It isn't working. The final straw has to be the very real threat of a national lockdown in mid-December, which will see Christmas cancelled. Now, we've heard from many of our older listeners on this radio station that they feel they may just have 1 or 2 Christmases left to enjoy with their family. So if you think you're going to cancel Christmas as part of this doomed strategy, then think again. To deploy a Yuletide metaphor, you can get stuffed. This is Talk Radio.